Fascinating facts about ancient Egypt. Ancient Egyptians used a form of paper called papyrus, which was made from the river plant of the same name. It is possibly the earliest form of paper known to humans. Egyptians believed in a pantheon of gods and were one of the earliest civilizations to practice a complex religion that involved rituals, offerings, and specific burial customs. Ancient Egyptians practiced a form of dentistry and had surprisingly advanced dental problems due to the grit and sand that got into their bread and food, causing teeth wear. Hieroglyphs, the writing system of ancient Egypt, were not deciphered until the discovery of the Rosetta Stone in 1799, which carried the same text in Greek, hieroglyphics, and another form of Egyptian script.
Did you know why Hitler hated the Jews so much? It wasn't just a matter of religion. After World War I, Germany suffered a severe economic crisis. Millions of people were unemployed, and anger was growing in the country. Hitler found an enemy to gain power. He began to blame the Jews for Germany's problems, even though there was no proof of this claim. Propaganda, lies, and hatred were gradually filled into the minds of millions of people. Over time, this hatred grew so much that millions of innocent Jews faced oppression, imprisonment, and murder. This became one of the darkest chapters in human history. Millions of innocent people lost their freedom, their families, and their lives. What began with lies, propaganda, and hatred eventually turned into unimaginable human suffering. Even today, this tragedy serves as a warning to the world, because when hatred is allowed to grow, its consequences can destroy entire generations.
When the Romans conquered Egypt, they wanted to crush the Egyptian population. So they did things like they banned Egyptians from owning land. They banned Egyptians from riding horses. They banned Egyptians from doing anything but wearing the color blue. And the Romans did this because they knew that the Egyptian population was going to be complicated to rule over. The Egyptians kept rebelling, so the Romans kept massacring them by mass crucifixions. And they would just crucify whole segments of the Egyptian population and then say, look, this is going to happen to you if you keep rebelling. And of course, the Egyptians just kept rebelling. Then by the time it got to 31 BC, Egypt's civilization was 4,000 years old. When Alexander the Great conquered Egypt and went to the pyramids for the first time and gazed upon the pyramids, the Giza pyramids were 2,300 years old for him. So when he was looking at the pyramids, he was going, I can't believe this is 23 centuries old, just to give you a little sense of this. We are as far from Alexander the Great as the pyramids were from him.
Dragons may have actually existed in the ancient past. In 1841, scientists confirmed the existence of dragons by identifying them as dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are believed to have gone extinct around 65 million years ago, yet they appear in numerous ancient drawings and artifacts from just a few thousand years ago. This is curious since we only began discovering dinosaur bones in 1824 and named them dinosaurs in 1841. Before that, we called them dragons. In 2003, Dr. Mary Schweitzer found preserved red blood cells in a T-Rex femur.
We know very little about these beasts that once walked on the surface of our planet,
challenging the belief that soft tissue deteriorates within a million years, meaning that some dinosaurs might have lived more recently than previously thought. Nearly every ancient culture had legends of scaly, fire-breathing, flying lizards that warriors fought to protect their land. The Acambaro figurines in Mexico, depicting dinosaurs and humans, were initially dated to 4,500 years old, but later dismissed as a 1930s hoax. This raises the question, did humans coexist with dinosaurs, and were dragons just a rare species of dinosaur that we hunted into extinction for the safety of our future?
If you were to ask historians about the top 10 most influential people of all time, Alexander the Great would definitely make the list. When he was just 13 years old, Alexander was tutored by a very influential philosopher named Aristotle, who helped shape his mind. And after his father, Philip II, was assassinated, Alexander became the king of Macedonia at age 20. He then went on to conquer Anatolia, Syria, Phoenicia, Egypt, Mesopotamia, Afghanistan, and India without losing a single battle. But the most ambitious thing he did was conquer Persia, which was ruled by Darius III, known as the King of Kings. Nobody thought Alexander had a chance, considering that he had 50,000 soldiers and Darius had 250,000. But Alexander crushed Darius's army, and then he became the King of Kings, as well as one of the most powerful men of all time. But then he mysteriously died at the age of 32, and his empire crumbled into pieces. One of the reasons he's so impressive is because
this African country lost almost 1 million lives in 100 days. And it all started with a small radio station. In early 1994, a new voice took over Rwanda's radios. It was called RTLM. It played jokes, pop songs, and football commentary. It sounded like background noise, but hidden between the laughter were messages. It mocked certain groups, labeled people as enemies. Day by day, the tone darkened, and more people tuned in. Then on the 6th of April, the president's plane was shot down, and the killing began. It kept broadcasting, giving names, giving addresses, calling out neighborhoods, telling ordinary people how to act. In just 100 days, more than 800,000 people were unalived. Neighbors turned into enemies, all because of a radio. To this day, RTLM is considered one of the deadliest propaganda machines in human history.
Drop it to the flow, drop it to the flow, then.
4.5 billion years ago, Earth was born, but it didn't look anything like it does now. For millions of years, it was a fireball. Molten rock, toxic gases, no oceans, no life. But then something changed. Massive asteroids rained down, carrying water frozen in their cores. Steam filled the sky, clouds formed, and then it rained for thousands of years. Eventually, oceans covered most of the planet, and beneath those waters, something miraculous happened. Life. Simple, single-celled, barely alive by our standards, but they changed everything. They made oxygen, they made the atmosphere, and for the first time, Earth could breathe. Now fast forward 2 billion years. Suddenly, Earth freezes. A global ice age. Glaciers stretch from pole to equator. Even the oceans begin to freeze. But somehow, life survives. And when the ice melts, it comes back stronger. Then comes the Cambrian explosion, 500 million years ago. Life doesn't just grow, it erupts. Insects, plants, fish, everything we know begins here. But Earth isn't done changing. Massive volcanic eruptions block out the sun. Oceans turn to acid. 90% of all species vanish. But again, life comes back, stronger, smarter, stranger. And then, dinosaurs. For 160 million years, they ruled this world. Until 66 million years ago, a rock the size of a city hits Earth. The sky burns, the ground shakes, darkness covers the world for months, and when the light returns, the dinosaurs are gone. But not everything died. Tiny mammals rise, they grow, multiply, and one day stand on 2 legs. Humans. Only 300,000 years ago. We are just the last page of a story 4.5 billion years long. Earth has been a fireball, a snowball, a paradise, a graveyard, and it will keep changing long after we're gone. So the next time you feel small, remember this: you are part of something ancient, a living planet that has died and been reborn again and again. And somehow, for a brief moment in time, you're here to witness it.
Je te laisserai.
The crazy story of how Christopher Columbus discovered America. It's been a beautiful sunny day on August 3rd of 1492, when Columbus and his compañeros wanted to get some new fresh spices from the big land of India. As the world map looked like this during that time, and Columbus wanted to avoid the dangerous old route through the Arab lands, he decided to sail westward this time, the direct way to India. And so, full of confidence, Columbus started its trip from Spain, and after 3 months of sailing, on October 12th, he finally reached Indian land, which was in reality the Caribbean islands. He was fully convinced that he had made it to India, and even until his death, he never realized he didn't. That's also the reason why the indigenous people of America are often being referred to as Indians, even though this term is considered outdated today. Other explorers like Vespucci and Waldseemüller then began to realize that the lands Columbus had encountered were part of a previously unknown continent, the America.
Did you know that the three monarchs, King George V of the United Kingdom, Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany, and Tsar Nicholas II of Russia were all closely related cousins? George was first cousins with both Nicholas and Wilhelm. and Wilhelm and Nicholas were third cousins. Despite being relatively friendly with each other, they would become enemies during the First World War. King George V was the only remaining monarch of the three by the end of the First World War. Wilhelm abdicated the German throne and was exiled, spending the rest of his life in the Netherlands. Nicholas abdicated, was placed under arrest, and was executed along with his family in 1918.
It turns out children have always acted the same way, and it's pretty funny. Meet Orphin, a boy from 13th century Russia. We know this child because we found his homework, which was engraved into birch bark, something that tends to preserve quite well. From his homework, we know his name was Orphin, that he was 7 years old, and that he was doing some spelling exercises. But here's the best part. Orphin used to draw all over his work, and from these drawings we learn about his life and his great imagination. He drew himself riding a horse trampling over his enemies. He drew himself and all of his friends together. He even drew himself as some sort of monster and wrote, "I am a beast." But here's my personal favorite. He drew himself being yelled at by his teacher. This child lived 800 years ago, and yet his imagination and drawings aren't any different from the children of today. Isn't that interesting?
5 photos taken throughout history that everyone should see. 1. Soldiers returning home from World War II. 2. World War I soldiers paying tribute to the millions of horses, donkeys, and mules that passed away in the war. 3. Wedding rings that were removed from Holocaust victims before they were executed. 4. David Isom, 19, broke the color line in a segregated pool in Florida, June 1958, which resulted in officials closing the facility. 5. At 4:31 a.m. on June 22, 1941, an unauthorized photo of Stalin inside of the Kremlin shows the very moment he was informed that Germany had began their invasion of the Soviet Union. It was taken by Komsomolskaya Pravda, editor-in-chief. He was ordered to destroy it, but instead saved it.
A man found a collection of ancient coins while digging in his backyard. He then showed the coins to experts who verified their authenticity. Just as the discovery gained attention, the man vanished. Days went by, then weeks, but the man was nowhere to be found. Despite extensive searches, no one could figure out what happened. Some say the coins may have been cursed, but the truth remains a mystery.
900,000 years ago, our human ancestors almost died out completely. This was us at the time, Homo erectus, and life was going good. We were using stone tools, we invented fire, we started cooking, and then we started dying. An ice age hit, and the world became a colder and drier place. Africa was stricken by droughts, and the entire population of our ancestors decreased to 1,300 individuals. The human story could have ended here with one bad storm, one disease, one Mountain Dew Baja Blast. Instead, a population of our ancestors that could fit inside of a Broadway theater kept our genetics alive for 100,000 years before population started increasing again. But how do we know this? How do we know what happened almost 1 million years ago? Well, a recent study looked at genetic data and found a population bottleneck, a point in our history where genetic diversity became very small. On top of the genetic evidence, we don't find very many hominin fossils from that time period, probably because there just weren't that many. But our genetic data survived, and now we have to pay taxes and go to work. So you win some, you lose some, you know?